Yes, so I think after a long gap, we are getting into um, the revision of this chapter. That means the diversity in living organisms. So I think you're ready to hear this, okay? So what I want to say that about the angiosperms, okay? About the angiosperms. The angiosperms, I think in the last class we have studied about the bryophytes, pteridophyte and gymnosperms. So it is important to study today about the angiosperms. So I think it's easier to say that the word angiosperm is made from two Greek words. That means angio means covered and sperma means seed. Okay, angio means covered and the sperma means the seed. So the seeds develop inside an organ which is modified to become a fruit. Okay, so these are called flowering plants. Okay, the seeds develop inside an organ which is modified to become fruit is known as the called as the because it is modified to become the fruit. So we studying about the angiosperms. Okay, so it is modified to become a fruit. So these are also called as flowering plants. So this the angiosperms, which contains, it will have the seed which is developed inside an organ which is modified to become a fruit. So this process is taking place in flowering plants, so it is called as flowering plants. Okay, and after all that, when we are saying about that, we want to say that plant embryos in seeds have structures which is called as the cotyledons. Okay, I think you have known the name cotyledons from this. That is, cotyledons are called seed leaves because in many instances they emerge and become green when the seed germinates. Okay, so the cotyledons are called seed leaves. Why? It's because in many instances they will emerge and become green when the seed germinates. So thus the cotyledons represent a bit of pre-designed plant in the seed. Okay, thus the cotyledons represent a bit of pre-designed plant in the seed. So the angiosperms are divided into two groups on the basis of the number of cotyledons that is present in the seed, which is present in the seed. So plants with seeds having a single cotyledon are called monocotyledons or monocots, and plants with seeds having two cotyledons are called as the dicots. Okay, so I think you have understood what is studied in the last class. So I think there is pictures of this monocots, that is Pafypedilum in your textbook, and dicots means ipomia. Okay, so we are okay. So the next one is animalia. Okay, next one is the animalia. So we have studied most of those organisms. So I think we want to just mention about how this is classified, how the plants groups are classified. We want to know that. Okay, so when we are saying about the plants, we want to say that the plants is differentiated to two. That means do not have differentiated plant body. Okay, the plants which do not have differentiated plant body, that is known as the thallophyta. Okay, Plants are divided into do not having differentiated plant body and having differentiated plant body, and having those plants which is not having differentiated plant body is known as the thallophyta. Okay, not having differentiated plant body is known as the thallophyta, and which having differentiated plant body is divided into again two. We divided into two, that is known as the without specialized vascular tissue and with vascular tissue. Okay, so the with specialized vascular tissue we call it as bryophyta, and with vascular tissue it is again divided into two, that is do not produce seeds and which will produce seeds. And the example for the plant which will not produce the seeds is known as the pteridophyta, and which will produce the seeds is known as the phanerogams. Okay, phanerogams. And after all that, the phanerogams, the produce seeds, the phanerogams is divided into two, that is bear-nacked seeds and which is not bearing seeds, or which will bear seeds which is inside the fruit. Okay, so the plant which is containing the bear-nacked seeds is known as the gymnosperms, and the organisms or the plant which contains the bear-nacked seeds inside fruits is known as the angiosperm. Okay, it is known as the angiosperm. And after all that, the angiosperm is divided into two, that is having seeds with two cotyledons, which is known as dicotyledon or dicots, and having seeds with one cotyledon, and which is known as the monocotyledon. Okay, so that's about the planting. Okay, so the next one is Animalia. Next one is the Animalia. Next one is the Animalia. So when we are saying about the Animalia, we want to say that these are organisms which are eukaryotic, multicellular and heterotrophic. Okay, Animalia is the groups which organisms which are eukaryotic, multicellular and heterotrophic. So the cells do not have cell walls, and most animals are mobile, which means which can walk or which can go from one place to another. So they are further classified based on the extent and type of their body design, which is differentiation found. Okay, and the first one we are going to study is the porifera. Okay, first one we are going to study is the porifera. Yes, what is porifera means? The word means organisms with holes. So these organisms are non-mortal. That is the main specialty of this. These are non-mortal animals which is attached to some solid support. Okay, so there are holes or pores which are all over the body. So this led to a canal system that helps in circulating water throughout the body. For what? Okay, so this have a canal system. Okay, this have a canal system. For what purpose it having the canal system? Okay, it looks like a plant, but it is a knotted plant, but it contains a canal system which is used to bring food and oxygen. Okay, so these animals are covered with a hard outside line or skeleton. So when we are looking from outside, we can say it as a plant. Okay, not as a what we say, it is not as a organism or an animal. So these animals are covered with a hard outside layer or skeleton. So the body design involves very minimal differentiation and division into tissues. So these are, we will call it as sponges and mainly found in marine habitats. And some examples are in your textbooks with the pictures of Spongilla, Cyclona and Euplectisia. Okay, and the next one is the Coelenterata. And the what is the specialty of Coelenterata? So these are animals living in water and they show more body design differentiation. There is a cavity in the body, and the body is made of two different sections, that is known as cells, which will make up cells on the outside of the body. Okay, they have two different types of layers of cells. And what is the specialty is that one makes up the cells on the outside of the body and other makes up the inner lining of the body. That is the specialty of the cells in the Coelenterata. And some of the species live in colonies, which means we call as corals, coral leaves or corals, which is used in what you see in fresh water. Okay, and while others have a solitary like green, have a solitary like span, that is known as a hydra. I think you know that hydra, which is look like the squid. Yeah, it looks like the squid, but it's known as a hydra. And jellyfish and sea anemones are quite common examples for the Coelenterata. I think you see the pictures of the hydra and sea anemone, which is the depiction. Okay, and after all that, when we are saying about that, we want to say about the platyhelminthes too. Okay, we want to say about the platyhelminthes, which is next coming in the Animalia, and what is the specialty of this platyhelminthes? So the body of animals in this group is far more complexly designed and than in the two other groups we have considered so far. We have studied about two things, that is kingdom Porifera and kingdom Coelenterata, and so sorry, not kingdom, phylum Coelenterata, and so division Coelenterata, and so groups we have considered so far. The body is bilaterally symmetrical, which is meaning that the left and right halves of the body have the same design, which is are three layers of the cells from which differentiated tissues can be made, which is why such animals are called triploblast. Okay, so there are three layers of cells from which differentiated tissues can be made, and which is why such animals are called triploblast, and this allows outside and inside body linings as well as some organs to be made. So there is thus some degree of tissue formation. However, there is no true internal body cavity or coelom, so in which well developed organs can be accommodated. So the body is flattened dorsiventrally, meaning from top to bottom it is having the dorsiventrally flattened body type, and meaning from what we say, which is why these animals are called flatworms. It can be called as flatworms. So they are either free living or parasitic, or some examples are free living animals like planarians, or parasitic animals like liver flukes. And I think it is one of the wide part which we don't know, which we only see through a microscope, or we can't see with our naked eye. Suddenly we can see it, but we can't see it immediately. So the platyhelminthes is also an important one. So I'm giving you 10 minutes to read that, and after that you should read thoroughly the section that I have taught now, that I have revised now, and after all that we will get into the next section of the file. Okay. And also study the structures of the organisms and draw it. Okay. Okay, I think you have read the section. So the next one is about okay, so the next one is the angiosperms. Sorry, not angiosperms, nematoda. So what is the specialty of nematoda? Nematoda is nematoda body. About saying about the nematoda body is also bilaterally symmetrical and triploblastic. And however the body is cylindrical, where we say that rather than flattened, and there are tissues but no real organs are present. So all the sort of body cavity or pseudocoelom is present. Okay. Okay, so the nematoda body is also bilaterally symmetrical and triploblastic. However, the body is cylindrical. Okay, what that is a specialty is that the body is cylindrical rather than flattened. There are tissues but no real organs. Okay, so all the sort of body cavity or pseudo coelom is present in that. So it will be very similar to, because of these characters, it is very similar to parasitic worms, which is causing diseases such as the worms causing elephantiasis or the worms in the intestines, which is some examples which we know that, isn't it? Spin worms, round worms, etc. So ascaris, the main one. What is the specialty of the ascaris? Yes, the ascaris, the specialty of the ascaris is that the female will be longer one and the male will be smaller one. Sorry, the female will be the larger one and the male will be the smaller one. So the next one is the Annelida group. Okay, Annelida. So the Annelida means the animals which are they are also bilaterally symmetrical and will be triploblastic. Okay, they will be bilaterally symmetrical and it will be triploblastic. But in addition, they have a true body cavity. Okay, but in addition, they have a true body cavity. So this allows true organs to be packaged in the body structure. Okay, this will allows true organs to be packaged in the body structure. There is thus extensive organ differentiation. Okay, so there is some extensive organ differentiation. So this differentiation occurs in a segmental fashion where the segments lined up one after the other from head to tail. Okay, from head to tail. So these animals are found in a variety of habitats, which means freshwater, marine water, as well as in land. Okay, so the earthworms and the leeches are the familiar examples for the Annelida. Okay, Nereis, earthworm, leech, these all comes into the Annelida. So that's the main thing that the body shows, a packaged organs. Okay, so this is an extensive organ differentiation. Okay, and when we getting into the arthropoda, okay, when we are getting into the arthropoda, we want to say that this is probably the largest group of animals, and these animals are bilaterally symmetrical and segmented. So there is an open circulatory system, and so the blood does not flow in well-defined blood vessels. So the coelomic cavity is blood filled in case of arthropoda. Okay, the coelomic cavity is blood filled. It is coelomate, and it is the coelomic cavity of these organisms are blood filled. So they have jointed legs. It means arthropod means the jointed legs. Some familiar examples which are prawns, butterflies, houseflies, spiders, scorpions, crabs, which all types of animals are coming under this. So the arthropoda is the biggest group that have under this. Okay, so I think you have understood about the arthropoda. Okay, so I think you have understood what the chapter, and so I think it's time to conclude this chapter, and we will get into the next section on next day. So thank you for listening. Stay home, stay safe.